Good afternoon, good evening, everyone, and welcome to another Let's Talk. I'm so happy to be here with a wonderful panelists today, some of whom are very dear friends, some of whom are ministry partners, and of course, this is an opportunity for us to talk about strategies for academic success. Before we move forward with today's show, we would like to pause for a brief moment to remember those that are in bereavement, as we have had several major losses in the Church of God of Prophecy family. So if you can pause with me for the next 30 seconds as we remember those loved ones whom have gone on to meet their Father. Well, hello again. And if you're just tuning in, no, we are not having technical difficulties. We have just decided to pause for a moment to reflect on our loved ones who would have transitioned over the past several weeks. This is another Let's Talk hosted by the Church of God of Prophecy. I am your host, Ghandi Thompson, and I am going to allow our wonderful group of panelists to introduce themselves. Good evening, Bahamas, and so please feel free to share if you have a student in your house, if you have a godchild who is in school, if they are in university, or if they are in kindergarten. We are going to set them up for success with the strategies we share today. And so, to my wonderful group of panelists, I want to invite each of you to go around and introduce yourselves to those that are watching. Allow them an opportunity to get to know you as well. So, Maycock, would you like to start?
I can start first. Can everyone hear me? Okay, a pleasant good evening, Dr. Thompson, and good evening to all of the other panelists. My name is Dr. Natasha Swann. I'm an assistant professor at the University of the Bahamas. I'm also a mother of three little girls, well, not so little, 11, 12, and soon to be 8. And so I think I'm representing 2 or 3 hats, if I'm not mistaken, as a parent and also as an educator here at the University of the Bahamas. Good evening.
Thank you, Natasha.
Good evening, all. It's good to be here. My name is Crystal Wilson. I will begin by stating that I am a mother of three, also 2 girls and 1 boy, smack in the middle. And I am also an educator. I have been in the classroom for 20 years, and I have been newly appointed senior mistress at the great Eva Hilton Primary School. So that's me.
Thank you, Minister Wilson. So, we've heard so far from Dr. Natasha Swan and Minister Crystal Wilson. Who's next with the introductions?
Hello, good evening. My name is Madison Collie. I've been teaching for 11 years now in the kindergarten section and also a mom of three. Just excited about tonight.
Thank you, Madison.
Okay, I'll go next. Good evening, everyone. My name is Sheanda Maycock. I am a mother of 4, and they range in age from 27 to 17. So my children are a lot older. I am an educator, administrator. I was in the classroom for 15 years. I have been an administrator for 14 years, and I am presently the principal at Sybil Strawn Primary School on Carmichael Road, and it is great to be here.
Sister Sheanda and Madison, I see people are getting excited as you guys share, who you are and where you are and what you do. Dr. Tosh, this looks like this is going to be interesting. We have 2 more of our wonderful panelists to introduce themselves. Please go right ahead.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Princess Knowles. I'm a lay minister National Insurance Ministries Director of Chicago Province, mother of 3 children. I've been a registered for 20 plus years, and I'm a certified health coach, certified with Dr. Seth Wellness Institute, where I am a CEO of Wow Wellness for Women, and specifically today, I'm a provider for ages 4 through 12, teaching them and helping them how to experience transition changes to educate guidance so that they can improve their health, reduce medical expenses, weight control, and like individuals and families. I have to be here this evening.
Awesome. And last by no means least, we do have a male bringing up the rear and introductions.
My name is Samuel Nelson. I'm a special educator. I'm presently teaching at the Anatole Rogers High School right here in Nassau, Bahamas. I've been teaching over 29 years. And I have a teenage daughter. I'm married with one wife. I have a teenage daughter who just started senior school. And I am happy to share. I've been working with special needs children for over 23 years. And teaching is my passion.
Awesome. I want to welcome each and every one of you to Let's Talk. I'm so excited about the strategies that you will share. I told my husband to listen in so that we can take notes so that we will have all A's and B's this semester in our household because of the good tips that we will be given today. I'm so happy to have each of you because you all, as came out in your introductions, you're covering a wide range of representation here. We have health and wellness coming in with Minister Princess, with Dr. Natasha Swann, who's also now teaching at the tertiary level. She also taught in the school system and was a wonderful educator in that. And so, Tash, some of that is going to come out. Plus, we've seen the success of your own children in the parenting. So like you said, you will be bringing in more than one aspect of it. Madison, she is in the middle of parenthood. I think you have the babies out of all of us, but you're also teaching babies. So I'm good. I'm looking forward to see how these strategies work at home as also in the classroom. We have Brother Nelson, and it's good that not only is he a special ed educator, but he also is in the era where he is juggling fatherhood to a budding musician. And so we'd like for you to chime in a little bit about that, because for our male listeners, we want them to also understand their role in academic success. We have just recently elevated in her professional career, Minister Crystal Wilson. She will be sharing. She's got a teenager and a toddler, and well, not so much a toddler, but you got 3 different generations, somewhat not generations, but 3 different youth age categories in your house. And then Sister Sheanda, whose baby has just gone off to college, she will be sharing as well. So we're into a very good show, and I want to tell you, we're noticing Laverne all the way from Guyana, and one of the things with us in the Caribbean, what works in the Bahamas sometimes works in Jamaica and can also work in Guyana and elsewhere. We want to get into this discussion today, and I want to go right to you, Dr. Natasha Swann. I'm particularly curious as to what happens in the colleges and in the universities. Tell me, Dr. Tash, how important, in your professional opinion, is it for children or teens to be equipped for academic success very, very early? How important is that foundation for you?
It's essential. I think academic success starts the moment you enter the doors of any learning institution, not the day or the week prior to your taking a test. It starts the very moment you enter into those doors. And there are several things that may contribute to it as well in terms of your early academic success is preparation. So speaking from a tertiary level, I always tell my students prior to them even entering my class, they should know a little bit about the campus. They should know where to find their class. They should know somewhat maybe the description of the course that they are enrolled in. They should know in terms of, like I said, the campus, right? That's preparation. So I have like five basic tips. One is five: preparation, organization, right? Organization has to do with balancing. If you're speaking from the tertiary level, our students are not children, they are adults. And some are very young, 17, but 17 all the way up to age, I would say 65, 70. And so they have lives outside of school. So they have to be able to balance their life, their school life, as well as their personal lives. In addition to that, I always think that it's important to have some kind of what we call, which I determine as intellectual curiosity. And that means while you're learning the content, while you're studying or whatever it is, I think that you must study what we say with skepticism, or with the critical thinking skills, critical thinking thoughts, and so forth, asking those questions, not just learning the content superficially, but delving deeply into that content and asking those pertinent questions that will really spark critical thinking skills. Because when we think about our world today, it's just not superficial learning. Our world is based on creativity, and it's based on critical thinking, and that's how we do well in our society. So I tell my students to don't just think about the content as is, but ask those deep questions. In addition to that, I think all students, children, my children as well, must have a zeal or zest for learning. They must be motivated, particularly when you're working with children, when you're working with adolescents. They must be motivated to want to learn. And that can be intrinsic motivation as well as extrinsic motivation. They must have that determination, that desire to want to learn and to want to be successful. And lastly, I mean, my list is not exhaustive, but lastly, in order for any child, any teenager to do well very early, there must be parental involvement. And from my personal perspective, I think both parents need to be involved. Oftentimes, as a teacher in the schools many months ago, wearing that particular hat, I would have parent-teacher conferences and so forth, and I would always see the mother. Very rarely did I see the father. And so when I got married and I had my kids, it was very important for my husband to be to all of those conferences, and he attends all, all. Once or twice I was unable to make it, but he is there. And so our children see and understand that as parents, not just as a mother or just as a father, they see that we take education very seriously. And even as an educator myself, one of the things I do with my children all the time, and I'm going to stop right now, is they see my involvement. They also see that I am an avid reader and I am an avid writer. So my children see me reading and writing all the time. My students see the same thing. Literacy is my passion. And so they see me constantly engaged in some kind of reading, some kind of writing, asking questions, those deep questions and so forth. But like I said before, it's preparation, it's organization, it's intellectual curiosity, it's a zeal or zest for wanting, or that desire for wanting to learn. And it's also parental involvement.
Wow. Listen, if you are a parent, I think you need to tag your child right now, especially if you're paying for college fees or they off somewhere just enrolling. Please tag them, share the link with them either now or share the link with them later. Because I think oftentimes I liked, Dr. Tash, how you talked about the importance of their own involvement in this process, right? Preparing, and it's a very good tip, because oftentimes coming from perhaps an environment where they were spoon fed or where their parents held their hands, you're saying at the tertiary level, a lot of this academic success is on you.
Precisely.
And you also mentioned that it is critical from they enter school, how important it is for them to start developing some of these tips. Now you are at the end, and you went as far as age 65, and I'm hoping that I'm not still studying at 65. But you talked about from the cradle almost to the 70 years that we were promised, right? Mm-hmm. Madison, you are on the other end of the spectrum. Do much of what Dr. Swann said resonate with you? And do you think that because she talked about parents' involvement, and she talked about parent involvement from a male and female perspective. Do you agree with her that it is important for parents to be involved even from very early on in preparing their children for academic success?
Definitely, definitely. I agree with her 1,000%. It is so important. And like she said, not just mommy, because most times that's what we see. We see the mommy or the female guardian. But it's very, very important that we also see and hear from fathers. And when I do get fathers who's like, Miss Collie, take my number, please. Miss Collie, how's she doing? How's he doing? I commend them. I'm like, wow, look at you, daddy. Good for you. You know, encourage them to continue that because that is so, so important. Like she said, it's vital, it's essential.
And so you then, being a teacher and with your baby girl just in kindergarten as well, I believe, with you being in that dual role, how do you, as a mother, what is one tip as a mother you do to make sure be present and connected in that academic success on a day-to-day basis?
Well, the good thing is I teach where my children are at the school. We're all at the same school. So I am present. I am present. One of my former teachers, my son's former teacher, she said to the new teacher, child Collie, you can hear from Collie. So I'm asking the questions, not just is he getting his work right? How is he in class? How is he with his friends? Is he understanding the work? Is he keeping up? You know, those kind of questions. How's he playing? Because all of that makes the job. So I am present and accounted for.
That's good. And I guess for those of us who don't have the liberty of having our children to the same school, you're pretty much saying, though, that we must initiate some of that parent-teacher communication to ensure that they are succeeding beyond the A's and the B's they're bringing home, to making sure that they are adjusting in the class as well.
Yes, from day one. If you cannot make, I understand sometimes, you know, work commitments, but if you cannot make it to the open house or the first day of school, you send the teacher an email. Good evening, ma'am, sir. I am so and so, just reaching out. Here's my number. Here's how to reach me. If you ever need anything, I am here. And I encourage parents to not wait for the midterm check-in. You know, I do a bi-weekly check-in. How's it going? Is everything okay? We looking good? We need any help anywhere? So you put yourself out there, and I can assure you the teacher will respond in a positive way.
Thank you for that, Madison. And as you were sharing, I saw Dr. Tash shaking her head, and I'm wondering how she would feel for me as a parent sending her an email while my child is at the University of the Bahamas checking in. But that's how involved I want to be. But Rick and Tash is shrugging her shoulder, meaning she's open to it. So it means that we can carry on that engagement. Awesome.
I totally agree with that. Just the other day, I had a student who came for advisement, and her mother was outside. And I said, no, outside the office. And I said, come inside and have a seat and let's have a conversation. So I have no problems with that. You know, like I said, the ages range. So that particular student was 16, you know, so I don't have a problem at all with parental involvement at any stage.
My son is doing like this. No, mommy, don't do this. But we shall see. We shall see. As we take this conversation a bit further, because we looked at the kindergarten and we also looked at the tertiary level. Crystal Wilson, Minister Crystal Wilson, you, prior to your recent promotion, you were preparing kids in the 6th grade, which is a transitional phase towards junior high school. This is when they don't want to hug you and kiss you no more in the car. They want you to drop them off far and then they walk in with their friends. Tell me, because you're not just a 6th grade teacher. I had the opportunity to observe you not just as a teacher, but also as a department head and also as a part of that graduation, that send off, that formal send off. How are you as a minister of the gospel and your faith? How have you used your faith to successfully impact and prepare students academically for success?
Well, Dr. Ghandi, first thing is over the 20 years of teaching, my philosophy of teaching has drastically changed because I was all about the academics. But I have learned within like a 5 year, in 5 years, 6 years into teaching, that we must cater to the whole child. It's not just about disseminating the information and the styles of delivery in the classroom. A whole lot of emphasis is placed on that part of it, but I have learned that I have to create a Jesus space. When I
Wow.
create a Jesus space, we could get it all. We could get the academics, we could deal with the character, we could deal with all of that. All of that comes into play. And my first week in meeting my new set of students, I always make them to know who I am. And one of the things I always say, that I'm a pastor's wife, and believe it or not, they have high expectations. Like, Miss Wilson can't row, but they used to get row. Miss Wilson, she ain't gonna do this and she ain't gonna do that. But they had high expectations. And just giving an example as how I try to leave an indelible mark in the life of my students and let my light shine, so it can take them beyond just, the primary school years. I had a parent that came to report card day here in June, and she said, "Listen, yep, my daughter talks about you so much. She talks about you constantly. I have to let her come to church with you."
Oh wow. Um, that's good. Um, Great. Awesome.
Am I back in? I'm sorry.
You are back in. That's fine.
Yes, my apologies. This is her already. She's already graduated and everything, and her mom was like, I have to let her come to your church. And she started coming to our church. She joined the dance group, and she was coming constantly to church. However, her mom decided to send her off to school. So, but I believe that whatever I had imparted to her spiritually will continue. you know um and also, I had times where parents, just knowing, I made connections with parents also, just knowing that I am a pastor's wife. I had a time just to share how it goes beyond the classroom. I had a time where a parent called me. She said, "Miss Wilson, I on my way home. Something happened at home that my daughter, they say they see spirits." And when I was able to connect with them, everybody was screaming. They were hollering. It was three kids hollering and crying. And they were like, the spirit, whatever they saw in the tree, it was telling them to run in the road. And it was just a mayhem in that area. And I began to pray right on the phone. And she began to settle. I pulled all of Kuyan, those who lived with me, and I said, "Come on, we gotta pray. We gotta pray." So we prayed with her on the phone, and we developed a connection. And from that, she came to our Bible study. I think it was a Bible study with Pastor Frank and Minister Diane Williams. They normally have spiritual development, and I invited her, and she gave her life to the Lord. And up to now, I believe that she's still holding on. And I had times, sick children, parents calling me to pray for the child. She came to church and she was ministered to, prophesied to. And, so I believe in building relationships. I believe in sharing the gospel, building relationship with not only the child, but also the parent. They know what I am about. And not only that, to end with this, even though I speak it out of my mouth, I live it. I let my light shine. They see what I'm all about. They see that I'm not just talking. Like Dr. Ghandi said, I wasn't afraid to worship God. Of course, not having a whole church service, because I know everything is in its place. But I had no trouble, no problem worshiping God. And not only that, I always had principals who allowed us to be able to speak to the children about God. We had assemblies. They believed in God. They believed in prayer, and that made it much more easier. So I believe that how I have impacted their life, it will continue. But I left an indelible mark. And I believe that it will continue, not just in junior high, but onward.
Listen, you almost got me want us going to morning assembly just now. If you to keep on going because I felt the praise coming on because I felt the passion. You know, we you had towards your faith, and it's tricky because you are dealing with a group of children, and I leaned in when you said everybody was screaming because some of this stuff is real, and when I look, I just was watching something on Facebook the other day, and I saw a student throw his shoes at the whiteboard where the teacher was teaching. And so there are so many things that our teachers face in the school system, and so it's good to see that you are not ashamed or not afraid to let your faith be demonstrated in such a scenario. I want to talk to Sister Sheanda Maycock because when we look at faith, and how you talked about letting your light shine on the job and not only at church only, I think it's important for us to really look at the dynamics of all of this. And if you are a teacher on and you wanted the opportunity to win a gift certificates because my mom was teaching for over 30 years and I know back to school, I used to be cutting out the letters, the A and the B and the C. My hand used to be hurting after summer when I cut out all of them stuff and then glue on, getting the flamingo and cutting out the blue marlin to make sure that grade 1 that she was teaching, had all the symbols. And if you want to win a gift certificate today and you are a teacher here, I want you to just post your name on online chat. We will do a raffle before the show is ended, and you may be the winner of a gift certificate for a few couple. You could get a couple chalk paper and little marker and thing, the little things and the little candy for the little gifts and stuff. So just mention your name and we'll do a raffle as a gift certificate from the National Youth Ministry in that regard. But Sister Sheanda, you have been in children's ministry for a while in the church. And then you've also been professionally in an administrative part of the education system. Talk to me about how important it is for modeling the behavior of academic success. And have you seen any correlation between parents who present themselves a certain way, who themselves apply education or prepare themselves for academic success? Do you see that sometimes transferred into the children? They say that's just a chip off the old block. Is there some correlation, and also not just in schools, also in church? Does the model Christian sometimes, do you see sometimes their children emulate or grow up in some similar ways? Elaborate on that for us.
Good evening, everyone. Yes, Dr. Ghandi, you said it perfectly. It's very important for us to model because we are the first teachers that our children see, and they are the product of us. Many times we see the good and we see the bad. We see those children they're properly prepared, they're equipped. We listen to their speech, we listen to how they carry themselves, we listen to their value system. We listen to them talk about God and going to church, and they know about salvation. And we know that has to come from someplace. And more than likely, the first place it comes from is the home. On the other side, when those children come to school and we are challenged by them, then we realize, well, let's find out why this child is behaving that way. And we meet the parents and we see the model. We see the habits, the dress, the beliefs. Parents telling their children, if someone hit you, hit them back. And we tell them that is not the way we do it. That is not God's way. And that's not the way we operate in the school. If someone bothers you, have to tell an adult, tell your teacher, and we will get to the bottom of it. So modeling is very, very important. And that's why we as educators, we take so much time ourselves in being the type of model in front of the children that we want them to grow up and develop into. So as teachers, we try to always be the positive example. Like Minister Wilson said, talk about God, teach them about the Bible, teach them songs, be the example so that they can see Christ in you and see the light, because that is what we have to do with these children. We're catering to the whole child, and the whole child will develop good habits. A lot of it is based on modeling. Those parents that are deficient, sometimes we as educators, we have to pull them aside, say, now, mommy, now, what is this you're doing? You can't do these things in front of the child because that's not right. They bring it to school. Be careful. Keep your personal life personal. And then make sure that what your child sees is what they should see, because they bring those things into the classroom. And I don't want to use the word contaminate, but it affects the other children in the class. So we have to help our parents sometimes model positive behaviors as well. And I also wanted to say with Dr. Swann, what she said, very profound. And part of strategies for academic success that we parents do, we have to supplement and we have to make sure provide the experience. When our girls were in high school, we were on vacation and we ended up taking them on a college tour. They were in high school. They joined the tour. They went through as if they were preparing to come, but that was an experience that allowed them to see whatever is out there. So we as parents also have to supplement. If your child doesn't have this experience, don't wait for the school. You could take them on the field trip, take them over the bridge, take them to see all these national symbols or these historical places. Supplement is part of academic success. Modeling, yes, and supplementing. Thank you.
That is good, because that is very encouraging for me as a parent. And Dr. Tash, I thought about you, and all of us who are in church and also, studying, or either that, whether that's CBL, LDI, or whatever we're doing. It's good, according to what you're saying, Sister Sheanda, it's good for our children to see that, which means that how I act on Sunday, Monday morning, like this morning, how these children was taking long to get ready. I had to channel that same Sunday energy this morning and not let a Wednesday, Thursday evening Ghandi come out. I had to channel Sunday morning in front of the church energy, because you know how it is getting them ready for back to school, right? Just want to say, though, that if you are watching and maybe you're not a teacher, but you want to give your children a little extra something in their bag this week, you can have the opportunity to win a gift certificate. I saw my husband put his name in the chat. I don't know why, because he's going to be the one paying for this gift certificate. But please put your name on. We're going to do a fair raffle. Put your names in. We're going to do a raffle, and you can be the winner of a gift certificate as your kids prepare to go back to school this week, because I know that some schools aren't open. We talked about academic success. And one of the things I think, and we also talked about faith, right? We talked about modeling behavior. One of the things that when I thought to put this show together, there were so many things that ran across my mind. I thought about school safety, making sure that our children are safe on the campus. But Dr. Tash, as I look at myself and the 1 or 2 pounds that I have gained in the last couple of years, I realized that an important part of academic success is nutrition. What are we giving these kids? We're stealing 100 over them, and we're greasing them up with the oil, and this is important. But what are we packing in those lunch bags? What are we picking up at the grocery stores when we say, are we getting the high sugar juice, or are we giving them water, Dr. Tash? We all felt the pinch of summer. That summer appetite different. That fall different. That summer appetite falls different. So we wanted to have coach and wellness fitness, extraordinaire, Princess, just celebrated her 50th birthday a couple years back, and she looks very young. What is the secret? What do we pack in these lunch bags to make sure that our kids are preparing for academic success?
So good evening, everybody. We talked a lot about modeling behavior, and that is key as it relates to what we're packing in our bag, in the kids' bags. But I want to give you some quick data. According to the Ministry of Health Wellness, data shows that from annual medical assessments of children, school children, it showed a fairly high rate of overweight and obesity in this population group. Research also confirms to the effect that effective if we want to effectively impact a child's health, change has to start where? In the home. And it has to do with modeling that type of behavior. I want to give us some tips as adults, as caregivers, as mothers, as parents, as to how it is that we have to package this health and wellness process for our families and for our children. And then it's just a snippet of some of the things that we need to do. I'm sure many of it, a lot of it that we're already aware of. Number one, we got to be a steward. As stewards, we got to be found faithful with our temples and also the care and custody of the children that have been entrusted to us as good stewards. We got to be found faithful with what we're given to them. All of us, or most of us, at some point or the other, have fallen into the trap of just, doing certain things and not providing the best that we could do with regard to what we give to our children. But as a good steward, we've got to be found faithful. Everything that we do should start first from the Word of God. And if we're faithful to that, then we will be more intentional about what it is that we are giving to our children or allowing them to eat. 2, we got to be student of wellness. You don't have to be registered nurse or doctor or nutritionist or all those other medical terminologies as it relates specifically to health and wellness. We've got to be in the know. Knowledge is available to us so that we can access it, so that we can find scientifically proven, science-based clinical information that can help us to package the best choices in our kids' bags. And those choices will determine their mindset, will determine their mood, can determine their behavior, can determine their longevity, their level of wellness and illness, and that will definitely determine their success. 3, satisfaction. All of us, when we eat food, we want satisfaction. We don't just eat for eating's sake for the most part, and we want to give that to our children as well. And so the body recognizes food either as fuel, F-E-U-L, or as foreign. So when the body recognizes the food that we put into it and to give our children as fuel, then we get the nutrients, we get the natural energy, we can do those things, we can think clear, our mood is good, we're not depressed, we have a lot of things. Food has a major influence on everything that we do, starting from the gut. And then if the food that we're giving our children is interpreted as foreign, then that foreign material that we're putting into our body, the body doesn't recognize it as safe. So it leads to inflammation, glycation, oxidation, all of those shuns that lead to premature ill health and possibly demise, obesity, all of those chronic non-communicable diseases that are preventable and can be avoided. And it starts from inside our homes when we have them, actually. So satisfaction, and then 4, we got to start with a plan. Without a plan, we know we will fail. If we don't prioritize that planning, that packaging, that preparation, we're going to lead to on-the-go eating and picking up whatever. I've been there. You pick up whatever is available, and that's what you're going to give to kids based on what you have available to give to them. And that leads, planning, preparation leads to success. We're talking about the success of our children in the formative years and beyond. And then 5, beware of convenience. All of us like convenience, But that convenience can lead to those shuns that we talk about. Inflammation, glycation, oxidation, all of those things break down the body. And when the body recognizes that food that we're giving to it as foreign, then it leads to premature aging. It leads to even onset of illnesses that can be preventable, like diabetes in children, type 2 diabetes in children, which is very it's happening a lot nowadays, all over the world, not just in the Bahamas. 6, you got to eat a variety, colorful, the greens, the oranges, the purples, good for the brain, the spices, all of those things, a variety of foods, because when we eat the same thing or we give the same thing to our children over and over again, the body doesn't, there's no satisfaction in that. And it's just eating for eating's sake. But then we're not getting the nutrients that we need and that they need at this early age to be successful in school. 7, we have to be informed with regard to reading our labels. The manufacturers have an agenda. They want to sell food. They want to make money. So it's for us as informed parents, mothers, fathers, caregivers to be able to read the food labels and weave through, the stuff. 8, we want to shop the perimeter, the fruits and the vegetables, the colorful foods. 9, we want to avoid the bad words like hydrogenation and MSG and high fructose corn syrup. So that comes with being informed and being knowledgeable with regard to what we're putting into our bodies and avoiding the packaged foods for the most part. I know a lot of families, probably 75% of what they eat is packaged or processed, and that is the thing that's going to hinder success in the schools. And 10, we want to be creative. We want to, for example, teach our children the traffic light eating. They know about the traffic light. When you see the traffic light and they know they're driving in the cars, the green means go. That means the go foods, the green foods, the fruits and the vegetables. The yellow means not too much of it. Slow down, be careful. That's those other things that we can eat that has the nutrients, some nutrients. And then the red light foods are those packaged products, those processed foods that are going to lead to ill health. The sugar, the sugared products, the candies, the liquids, those sort of foods. And finally, as we involve our children and motivate them, or well, actually motivation should come from within them, we stimulate their motivation by what we do with them, involve them. We want to give them brainy breakfast. We want to give them a brainy breakfast to start the day after that fasting period over the night. We want to encourage portion control. We want to involve them in the choice of foods that we give into them. We want to play and encourage them to go out and play, because play is a part of that process. When they're eating, they can help to burn some of those calories, and it also helps with brain health. And then finally, we want to hydrate them with water. When in doubt, the best beverage is water for children, not the sports drinks. And actually, children should not really shouldn't be drinking sports drinks, but there are other ways to hydrate them when they're playing sports. That's my official opinion on that. But there are things that we can do to implement. Simple steps done daily have a compounding effect. We're all working at it, and we're all busy persons, but there's some things that we can do essentially.
Wow, you used a lot of words, oxidation, a lot of Asian and stuff that we need a second show with you, Lay Minister Princess, to really break this down, because I know you just went through 10 and I saw you trying to move quickly. But if we really want to make sure not only that our kids are set up for academic success, I think one of the key things that can also hinder their academic success is if we don't take care of our bodies to the point that they end up having to take care of us, or they end up having to lose us prematurely because we weren't the good steward that you started off with. And so this part of the conversation certainly sounds like a part two. As you were speaking, there were so many things that I think you could have still even unpacked further. But in the essence of time, I want to go on to Minister Nelson. You are educator in many ways. You're good at music. You teach Sunday school. You are one of the few male teachers that we have, and so I'm very happy to know that that there are males still choosing the teaching profession. I want you to talk about what it is like working with children that may have special needs, short attention span, behavioral implications. They may have learning disorders, but still we prepare children for this kind of success. I mean, for academic success.
Okay, good evening, everybody. All children need love, encouragement, and support. And as Dr. Ghandi was talking earlier about myself and Marseille, a student came to us one day and said, Mr. Nelson, I like how you're involved with your daughter. And I said, in what way? She said, when they asked her to come to play the saxophone, you come to accompany her. And I love that you two really have that bond. And I was saying to somebody, I said, we only have Monday night off at our house. Our house, Monday night is the only night we don't go out. We go out every night except Monday, because Marseille took us all over the place doing music, doing choir, and not blowing my own trumpet, but this year for junior school, she had the highest GP, and we are out of the house every single day and night. Only Monday we are home. And she really, by the grace of God, put it off with along with 8 BJC, and did very well. But as I talk about support, when it comes to special needs children, the first form of support that they need is from the home. The first thing is that parents have to accept that your child is a special need. Now, when we talk about special need, we sometimes we think about learning disabilities, but it is a wide cross section, because that person who is scoring a lot of all the A's and a 4.0, that's a special needs child too. That child is gifted and needs support along with, for sometimes when they are too book and not socially inclined, we need to balance it. But for where I work, at Anatole Rogers, we have a wide cross-section of students with special needs. And can I tell you, we have students that have sometimes 2 or 3 different kind of special needs, disabilities, and we have to work with them. And so for parents, we have to develop this positive reinforcement, because it starts really at the home. Our unit, we interact with our parents day and night. We have to give them a cutoff time when they can call us, because we really need that break. But we have fathers who would come in to do the drop off, and they would come in back to do the pickup, and mothers, and we would talk with them, to ensure that they are doing what we are doing in class is demonstrated at home, because we have to love and we have to accept them. And parents, we have to help to ensure that as we love them, that they emerge strong and have self-confidence and determination as they overcome the challenges that they might have. So I talk about accepting. We really have to accept, and parents, we need to know that even though it might look challenging, we can overcome, you can overcome. And so we have to keep it in perspective, and we take it one step at a time. I want to talk to the teachers too in a little bit, but for parents, we have to do reinforcement. You have to reinforce and repeat and put them into a routine, especially those who are autistic, who are on the autism spectrum. They go by a routine, and you have to try to keep that routine for them to survive and for them to perform academically. So I have students in my class that I do not move them. From September they come, they sit one place, do one thing, follow the routine. Others I will move them around as the year goes by, but some I don't move, because if I want to get work from them, once I move them, I interrupt their routine, and then I'll have to go back all over again, the process to get them to where they're going. As parents, we have to be our own experts. We have to do the research that we can be able to help our children. Marcy didn't go to school Marcy went to preschool to socialize, because Marcy was reading from she was 2. And when I was doing a private class at my house with somebody in grade 1, trying to get the phonics going, Marcy was interrupting the class. And we didn't go out to do teaching stuff. But what we did, when we gave her the games on the iPad and the Kindle stick, we downloaded reading games. And when it was movie time, we allowed her to watch science, the science kid, the science kid, and some other stuff, so that she would be, at her early age, should be soaking in all the information. So we have to be our own expert, and we research. But you have to remember now that we need to ask for help. We have to remember to ask for help. The thing is that as parents with students with special needs, you have to be your own advocate. You have to advocate. I was in Andros for 9 years, and a student came from special services with the report and everything, and I had to sit down to create their own plan. And when the school wanted to give them A, B, and C as end of term, the parent came in and said, no, the program that Mr. Nelson has, showing did they reach the goal at the end of the term? Did they reach the goal at the end of the year? Are they progressing? The parent said, that's what I want to see. I don't want to see A, B, C, D because that does not say anything to me. But if my child goal is to add only single digit, I want to know at the end of the term, did they master that goal, or they are progressing to reach that goal? So parents have to be advocate. You have to be advocate for time. I want to say to those even doing the BJC that there are special accommodations, and the BGCSE, there are special accommodations for students with special needs, that they are extended time. There are areas where they can take them out of the general exam group and put them in an area so that they can be more focused. So there are things, and what we need to do is to ensure that we speak from early with our principals, with our teachers. My child is doing this, and so I want you to apply to the ministry for me, so that if the exam is 2 hours and my child needs another hour in order to be successful, they are able to do that. So we have to be we have to be advocate for them. And the fourth thing is that we have to be very good listeners. Some days I don't teach, some days I just listen to what's going on. Some days we only can do one subject for the day, but I tell them we are making progress, because sometimes socially we have students who are they're very good academically, but they cannot function in the general population. And so when we go there, we have to shadow them, or there's a girl, we have 2 students right now. One is academically inclined and one is socially inclined. So what we do, we send both of them, because we send students out of our unit. We send them to the class. Your job is to ensure that this one will function socially, while your job over here is to ensure that this one can get the work done also. And so each of them feeding off each other, and so they are able to do the work. I want to say to teachers, because as Dr. Ghandi says, I've been doing workshops for the Ministry of Education for a number of years. Only this year I took the day off, the summer off, to catch myself. And one of my favorite quotes from George Evans is that every child can learn, not just on the same day or the same way. And so we can't expect the person who has a 4.0 to be, you're reading the information to them, and the person who is struggling at the F, we expect them to come up at the same speed. And so as teachers, we have to employ differentiation instruction. We have to know the children learning style. And so if the student can sing the content back to you, and they sing the content back to you correctly and cannot write it, that's a grade, and that's a fair grade, because that is how the children, because we can't do, I always say to teachers, we can't teach in the classroom. They can sing a song, they can skit, but when it comes to the assessment, you want them to sit down and write. That don't make no sense, because they're going to fail. Just as though we have different ways for them to get the content, we have to do different ways for them to do the product. And if we work with that, then we would be helping the children. Because one of the things here, it says that it's not that the children don't want to learn, It's just that the pace or the style that we are giving to the children, they cannot function that way. And so we have to go back to the drawing board and sit down and say, Bob is able to give the content when it's assessment, but Bob cannot write. What I do, I say, you're the peer coach. You're finished. Write this paragraph off for the student, because they can read it and they can answer it. And so we try to help them as much as possible. And so we have to try to help them. One of the things, Dr. Ghandi, is acceptance, because many times we send students out to get the assessment, but the government says that it is in their right not to reveal the result to us if they choose to. And so we have students just going through the system, going through and without doing anything, because if the parents don't want to help us, we cannot help them. You hear they talk about IEP, Individual Education Plan. We have to get an assessment from the Ministry of Education in order to sit down and plan for these children individually. Finally, we have students and parents know that their children are good with their hands. And so we have to find ways and means They might not be able to pass the BJC, but they are good with their hands. Right now, what we are doing with our children, we have many things that I like to share as a success story for 30 seconds, and then I close. Right now, we have one student who is in his second year in university, and he's at a university in Florida for special needs students, the Beacon College, and the only requirement for him to get in there is a transcript from the school, no BJC, no BGCSE, no SAT, just a report to say that he's a special needs child, and he's in.
Oh, wow.
And what we do for the others who can't function academically, we are now liaising on with different industries to see if they can do work study for these children. Because at the end of the day, you have the hotels, you have other agencies that would take them on as janitors, as waitress, as maids and stuff like that. If that's how they're going to function in society and be able to take care of themselves, then that's what we have to do. One of the sad things that happened to us as I close is that for the past 3 years I've been at Anatol, some of the students who graduate, as soon as they graduate, their parents die. And so as special needs students, we have to train them at home how to fix their room, how to sweep the house, so that that's a job that they can get right away when they finish school. Thank you.
Oh, wow. Minister Nelson, I thought we were going to have a next workshop because you look like you have a lot of content to share with us, and it's all very good and informative, I must say. And I think what I take away the most is that you probably have a suspicion that your child may be a little different, to go and get them tested to make sure. And Dr. Tash, in your profession, I know you've studied curriculum and how to deal with students with different learning styles. Anything you want to add? And as she adds to that, I also want to invite you to prepare what are the last 2 tips you want to leave everybody with, to offer you with? And I will go around the room once Dr. Swann has finished sharing.
Well, I will. Thank you so much. I'm going to take 2 seconds because Lay Minister Nelson said a lot, very profound, pertaining to regarding educators. But I do agree with you that as educators, our instruction has to be differentiated. Children learn differently. You cannot teach a one-size-fits-all class. We cannot do that. We have to chime into the multiple intelligences, the various learning styles we have in our class. We also have to, and I'm going to say this last thing that I find to be very, very important. We also have to be culturally relevant as teachers, because we have in our classes students from different cultures, different backgrounds. They're very diverse. Our classes must be student-centered. It's not about me as the educator, but it's really about our students. And I think Minister Crystal said it earlier when she talked about teaching the child holistically. And I always draw on this analogy as an educator. I always say when your students walk into your classroom and they're carrying their backpacks, not only do they have pencils and papers in those backpacks, but they bring with you their lived experiences. Some may be great, some may not be so great. But your responsibility as an educator is to teach that child holistically. So if that child religion may be different from yours, if that child it doesn't matter. You teaching excellent equitable education, okay, for that child. And so I would say make sure that your teaching is heavily student centered, and you can draw on all of the various theories and philosophies. Those, like I said, the culturally responsive teaching, diversity. Various, even socioeconomic class plays a role into how we teach, because students who are exceptionally poor, the research has said that they will not learn as well as those who have the resources that they need that they have available, easily available to them. So we must really consider all of those. Thank you.
Listen, I feel so blessed to call you guys friends and church members. You're all so smart. I learned new words, new terminology. I'm going to go put these into practice tomorrow as if I study for all of this stuff, all of this nuggets. Listen, you can't tell me I'm not a health coach tomorrow when I done put all this stuff to practice. The Betty Crock is going to come out to me as I pack lunch this week. This is good stuff. This is good stuff on both ends. And I'm really grateful to each of you for what you've shared with our audience. And depending on where we're from, whether we're the teacher, whether we're the parent, whether we're the godparent or the aunt, and we see our sibling packing the wrong lunch stuff for our kids, our nieces and nephews, we could say, maybe not. Or maybe we can observe some behavioral patterns to say, maybe you need to have this child tested. We're seeing something that maybe you need to lean into. As we close, and I want to say I'm going to do the drawing right now, so just hold on to your seats. I'm going to give away one or two things. I want to ask you, Minister Crystal, first. What would you want to offer as your last two tips? And then I'll move to you, Madison.
Well, in closing, I would address the parents being having the brief experience I've had so far as an administrator and also being a teacher. I realized that the parents, more so even now, are so very important to us, the success of our students in the educational system. And I want to encourage our parents as much as possible to support their kids. One thing I am learning to do in this new position I am in, prepare, and organize. And trust me, it's been a challenge. Can I say challenge? It's been a challenge, but it help us greatly to ensure that the kids are prepared for the day. They are at their best. I don't even want to say that Amari slept in class today. Even though I put him to bed early, I had to leave early. And so his teacher was like, he slept in class today. So because he was out of the house with me from after 6 this morning. But preparation is key, for us to get them to school on time. And sure, needless to say, I didn't get to do the breakfast. So we didn't get the right type of food. Sister Princess, we ended up going on Wendy's line. But I just want to say, prepare for the next thing. Let try to get enough rest, and it will be the day would run much smoother, be more organized, iron up their clothes, and make sure. Because trust me, I am an administrator now, and I'm still learning. I'm learning, growing, and evolving. So, that's my little 2 cents as we close.
My two nuggets would be: one, know your child, know what works for them, know what child works for them, what type of studying is best for them. And I was about to speak to the parents as well, but Crystal already took care of that. But also, let's not only focus on the bad grades. Let's focus on their effort as well. You may see them trying, or they may put in, they may start to take independence with their studying. So you tell them, you say, well, I noticed that you are trying. I noticed that you put a good foot forward, and commend them on that, encourage them with that, so that they will continue and have a successful year.
Oh, thank you. Good. We have 2 more minutes to go. We got Sister Sheanda, you, and then Sister Princess. Sister Sheanda, you, or Sister Princess. We have 2 more minutes.
All right,
Okay.
Dr. Speak to the parents. As an administrator, I see the challenges of the parent. One of the strategies for academic success will lie on the parent in terms of they have to communicate their challenges to the child's teacher. If something is going on in the life of the child and it would affect the child's performance, say it to the teacher. We had a death in the family, or we have someone who is terminally ill, so that we can know how to deal with that child. Open communication is very important. And another part too with the parents. A lot of parents don't have help. Oh, Miss Maycock, I can't do this because I don't have no one to help me. It's a village. There is no way A single mother can do everything for this child that needs to be done. They're going to overwork themselves. They're going to get stressed out. So you need to seek support from your other family members, maybe a godmother or someone. Reach out if you need help, because your child will only be successful if you have it together. If you are stressed out, you cannot think clearly, you cannot prepare and provide for this child because you yourself have challenges. Seek help from other people. And the last thing I want parents to do, don't take all the negative and give up. Know that someone can help you. It's not just a teacher. Seek other teachers, seek administrators, go to the principal, go to the guidance counselor, speak to other parents. Don't just accept that, oh, my child is not doing well and they're not trying hard enough. There are avenues and things that you can try to help your child, but you have to provide it for the child. Don't give up. Don't give up. Take care of yourself and seek help from other people. Thank you.
Okay, and Sister Princess, 30 seconds.
And finally, I want to encourage us to lead by example as good stewards, to be found faithful with those kids and what we do with them. 2, we want to involve them in their own health and wellness. 3, we want to encourage them to play outside because that's a part of good health and wellness, which will lead to their success in school. I'm going to put a quick plug in here. Put them in a club, soccer club, United Football Club. My kid, Amir, has been in that from she was 4, and now she's 11. Put them in a club, soccer club. And then my final tip is when we change or give them the right foods and activities, we're going to see an improvement in their school performance.
Awesome. Brother Nelson, you have 20 seconds.
I want to speak to the children, those in general ed, and one, you have to accept responsibility, that you're responsible for your academic achievement. So you have to accept responsibility and try to get things done. Help yourself, and then you ask for help. Instead of letting others do your work, you do your help yourself, and then you ask for help. And the third thing is to discipline yourself. You have to discipline yourself in your work, your study, and play. You have to have a balance in your to achieve academic success. You have to play too, because you can all study, you can become sick and not able to sit the exams. And so we have to encourage the parents to get them out of the house. Let them go out there to run around in the front porch, outside, and because one of the things that I discovered that a lot of students suffered from is poor circulation, because sitting at the desk and doing their work online, cause physical stress on them. So they need to play also. Thank you.
Oh, wow, this is good. We've got people watching from Canada, from Guyana, and Jamaica. So panelists, I am proud to be Bahamian. You guys gave some very good feedback that is not just cultural. It applies to students anywhere. As we began this show with a moment of silence, I just want to extend condolences again to the Sister Ruthlyn Miller's family. Want to send condolences to Bishop Sterling Moss's family, and also extend condolences to Minister Jacqueline Ramming family. We want to encourage you, as we talked about, it takes a village at this time for us to be a village for our brothers and sisters that are in mourning. Please feel free to reach out to your lead pastors for information regarding the homegoing services for each of these members and anyone else in our congregations that would have suffered a loss during this entire season. Want to shout out the National Children's Ministry. They will be having an event. Anybody knows when that event is? The National Children's Ministry. Madison, you want to speak to that? Because you have a child in the choir. When are they singing and what is happening?
Choir.
Yes, National Children's Choir. Sorry, yes.
Friday, September 1st. That's this Friday. I believe it starts at 7 o'clock at East Street.
Okay, that was a test, but I won't be giving you a prize for that. And then also, National Youth Conference is taking place October 26th through 30th. Please be on the lookout for more details for that. And of course, I want to thank you, my great panelists. I have learned a lot. I thought I knew a little bit, a thing or two about parenting and about participating in my child's academic success, but I leave here this evening a little bit more confident knowing that we do have some passionate teachers still. And also, I think you have equipped me to be better prepared to serve my family and my children. I want to end the show with the raffle as I had promised. The names that I would have submitted so far is Crystal Maycock, Al Marie, Dawn Collie, Gabado Thompson, Laverne Simon, and Paige Adams. So want to also shout out our Connecticut. I think I see somebody from Connecticut Connecticut, USA, doing the raffle, and it is spinning, so you won't say that I cheat. I have it all in the front of you, and the winner appears to be Crystal Maycock. You have won. I feel led to do another one. What y'all think? Should we do another one? So Crystal Maycock, you're the first winner. Gonna take your name out, and I'm going to spin again and see if we can have another winner to give away at least 2 prizes today. Thank you again, hosts. You've been more than excellent, more than informative. And our next winner is Brother Donnie Collie. Look at God. Okay, so congratulations to our winners. Thank you all again for the excellent feedback. And I want to thank Brother Anton Cunningham, who's always behind the scene. He is the one that puts our flyers together and is hosting the show behind the scenes. Thank you to each and every one of you. May God bless you, and may you and your students and your children have a wonderful academic year. God bless you.